No problem. So we will wait for Veronika, and then we start with a different part of the presentation. That is an introduction into the EIC transition and the EIC as such. So I will share with you a couple of slides, like on the EIC and what the EIC is and why it is a part of the Horizon Europe program. So as you can see from this slide, the European Innovation Council is one of the parts of the third pillar of the Horizon Europe program. It's let's say the largest part in terms of the budget of the third pillar, and it provides support to the European innovators. So what are the objectives? Why is the EIC in the program? So in general, we can say that the EIC is a kind of umbrella. It's an umbrella of above like different instruments, different programs, whose purpose is to help identify, develop, and especially scale up breakthrough technologies, and especially technological companies that may be like important from the perspective of the EU competitiveness and its strategic autonomy. So by nature, the programs support like risky approach to the R&D, and also the EIC invests into risky projects and especially into deep tech companies and projects. What's specific about the EIC is also that it provides not only funding, but also once you become a beneficiary of the EIC, you receive also like a broad range, or you may receive, you can use a broad range of support services that are called the business acceleration services. And all this is provided to the beneficiaries with an objective to increase the number of European innovation scale-ups and potentially technological unicorns, European technological unicorns. In the bottom of the slide, you can see a summary of the main goals of the EIC in 2025. So the programs they cover, let's say, all the TRL, broadly all the technology readiness levels. And starting this year in 2025, we have a new call that is called the EIC Accelerator Step Scale Up. And that is a program that provides investments, like larger investments above 10 million euro to ambitious companies that specifically have technology that are strategic from the point of view of the autonomy of the European Union. On the right-hand side, you can see the distribution of the budget among the programs. So let's say the largest portion of the budget is dedicated to the innovative companies via the EIC Accelerator and via EIC Accelerator Step Scale Up calls. And then you can see also the proportion for the EIC Pathfinder calls and for the EIC Transition that we are going to talk about today. So all the information about the EIC programs, about their goals, the topics, the objectives of the EIC, the evaluation processes, and so on, you can find in one document. The document is called the work program, and of course we have the current work program for 2025. If you are interested, you can also follow a recording and slides from the EIC 2025 Information Day, where you can receive like details from the side of the European Commission and from the ESMA agency. So this was a brief introduction into the EIC as such. I will try to ask if Veronika is already back with us. If that's not the case, I will continue with the let's say brief overview of the.
Sorry, not yet.
Yes. Not yet? Okay. So I will continue with the overview of the EIC Transition Program as such and give you some details about what this program supports and what it focuses on, so that you know where you need to find yourself and your project application to maximize your chances to succeed in this program. So let's say overall, like in general, the EIC Transition is designed to support some further technology development of the results that have been already achieved in some previous projects. I will tell you later on what kind of projects we are talking about. It also aims at supporting activities that are going so-called like beyond the experimental proof of principle in laboratory. And Also, what is important is that it supports explorations and development of business plan and business models that will lead to potential commercialization of a new product, new technology, new service, and so on. So what outcomes or what is expected in general from the project? So in terms of outcomes in the technology part, it is expected that the technology that you are using or you sort of want to turn into an innovation is demonstrated to be actually effective for the intended application. From the business part or business point of view, you are expected to validate your potential business model and a business plan for let's say developing or getting the innovation closer to the market. There are some other important aspects that we should not forget, and this is that in the transition projects, it is very important that you focus not only on the technology development, but also on the, let's say, market or business development of the innovation. So, which means that you should be increasing not only your technology readiness level, but also your business readiness level. What is also important is that you should include, let's say, the point of view into your methodologies, like a point of view of your potential users or customers, so that you are developing something that may potentially find customers and not really, let's say, developing a product that will not find market or not find users or customers. We should not forget about the aspects of regulation, certification, or standardization, if that applies to your technology. And of course, the very important part is the formal protection of the intellectual property that is generated by your project. Sorry, I think I'm. Yeah. So, what are the principles that are really key to the EIC transition? And they are key because if you are not fulfilling these principles, then you will most likely fail in the call, or your project may be ineligible in the call. So what's very important is that your project has to build on results that already have been achieved within an eligible project. So I will tell you later on what the eligible projects are, but you can also every year find the list of all eligible projects on the website of the European Innovation Council. It is important that in your proposal, you specify the grant number and the acronym of the project which generated your result. So you have to be specific about what project generated the result and what the result is. The result has to be at least at the technology readiness level 3, in the meaning that you have completed all the elements of TRL 3, or ideally on the TRL 4. So not completed TRL 3 is probably too low. TRL 5 is too high for the EIC transition. The applications can be submitted either by a single entity that is based in the EU or in one of the associated countries, except for large industry applicants. So they cannot apply as mono-beneficiaries. They can apply as a part of a consortium. You can be a small consortium of 2 partners coming from 2 different countries of either EU or the associated countries, or you can apply as a larger consortium of 3 to 5 partners. You have to be careful that the limit is really 5 partners, and they cannot be more. And if you choose this option with the larger consortium, then you follow the standard Horizon Europe rules for the consortia. And like if you can apply as any type of a legal entity to the EIC transition. So what are the eligible projects? Those are the EIC Pathfinder projects. So not only those projects that are now running or are closed under Horizon Europe, but also it includes the projects that were funded under the pilot in Horizon 2020 and also projects that were funded by the previous program, FED Future Emerging Technologies. So projects coming from the FED Open, FED Proactive, FED Innovation Launchpad, and FED Flagships are also eligible as a source of the result that you want to develop further. Second area is the second group of projects is the ERC proof of concept result. So you can use results either from the ERC proof of concept that were funded under Horizon 2020 or now under Horizon Europe. Then we have a large group of research and innovation action projects that were funded from Horizon 2020, the second or the third pillar, or Horizon Europe from the second pillar. It says, or here it's mentioned, they were directly funded, which means that the projects that were indirectly funded via the financial support to third parties, also known as the cascading grants, are not eligible. And you can also apply if your result is coming from projects supported by the European Defence Fund. The project may be either ongoing or completed. So if you want to apply based on an ongoing project, then it has to be running for at least 12 months. The counting starts on the official start of the project, and the end date is the deadline of EIC transition. So it needs to be at least 12 months, and there is no exception. Or it can be completed. So with the completed project, you are still eligible for up to 30 months after the end. Again, the counting starts from the official end of the project and until the EIC transition deadline. So you can, but you do not necessarily have to be a former participant of these eligible projects. Of course, it may be more convenient or easier or so, but even though you are not a partner or principal investigator, or you are not the result owner of the previous result, you can still participate based on a different project. But there are different. I mean, you have to fulfill different rules or conditions. So if you were or the group of applicants who were part of the eligible projects, then in their proposal they have to confirm that they are the IPR owners or holders, and they have the necessary rights to commercialize the result. If the applicant or the applicants were not part of the eligible project, they will have to, let's say, negotiate with the owners from the previous project, and they will have to include into the proposal a commitment letter that actually states that the project owners, the result owners, confirm they want to negotiate like a fair, reasonable, and non-discriminatory access to the result, so that you can develop it further and you can also exploit it commercially. And there is like I will mention it later, there is an annex for this that you will then add to your project proposal. So this is the overview of the EIC Transition Open call for 2025. The call has already opened on April 27. The overall budget is 98 million euro. You can receive an EU contribution between 500,000 and 2.5 million euro. If you want to ask more, then you have to really very well justify why you are asking for a different amount. And the EIC transition is using the lump sum funding, so this is something you also have to pay attention to. The project duration can be between 12 and 36 months. Transition is a type of activity, so you are entitled, or you can be covered 100% of your direct costs. And the deadline for this year has been set for September 17. So if you become a beneficiary of the EIC transition, that there you can receive, or you are entitled to, some more let's say means of support. You can receive an extra additional actually funding, which is called the EIC Booster Grant. It is a fixed amount of up to 50,000 euro. And this is for you to, let's say, help you to further explore the potential pathways to the commercialization. But here, again, be careful that with the EIC booster, it needs to be some extra activities. So you cannot finance any, let's say, research or other activities that you've already planned in your original proposal. So it's not to top up your budget to cover the planned activities, but it needs to be like new activities. If you are successful in the EIC transition, you can also use the so-called fast track to the step 2 of the EIC accelerator, which means that your pathway to the EIC accelerator is easier. You can skip one of the evaluation steps, the first one. And like I said in the beginning, you have access to the so-called business acceleration services. So these are mostly free services that you can use, and they help the beneficiaries and the holders of the seal of excellence to get like new skills, new contacts, and that all this will help you to get closer with your innovation to the market and to grow a successful business. There is a specific program that is intended especially for the Pathfinder and the transition beneficiaries, and it's called Tech to Market. And this is specifically focusing on, let's say, development of skills of, let's say, special researchers, but also maybe business people, that they need to be successful in their pathway to the business. So this is an overview, a statistical overview of the EIC transition under Horizon Europe. So as you can see, in some years, so it's since 2021, in some years we had 2 cutoffs. In the last year, 2024, and also now in 2025, we have only 1 deadline. It's mostly due to like maybe lower budget for the calls. And you can from the table see how many proposals were submitted to each of the cutoffs or deadlines, and how many Czech participants were in these evaluated proposals. So you can see in the beginning, we didn't have that many teams or individuals interested in the program, but the numbers are increasing in the recent years. So we are glad to see that. There is a specific part of the evaluation process, which is the interview with the EIC jury. We'll talk about it a little bit later. So here you see the statistics of how many proposals are were invited to the interview stage, and how many participants were from the Czech Republic. In the next column is the number of selected projects and the Czech participation in the selected project. So overall, we have now, the Czech participants 4 Czech participants were successful in the EIC transition projects. I will show them on the next slide, but before that, I would like to also maybe for your information show you what is the, let's say, source or the origin of the transition proposals. This is these are numbers for the code in 2025. So you can see that let's say the largest portion of the proposals are coming from or are based on the FET or Pathfinder projects. The second largest group comes from the ERC proof of concept project. And then we have a little bit smaller portion that is based on the results of the Horizon 2020, Pillar 2 and Pillar 3 projects, and of the Horizon Europe Pillar 2 project. And then like a small number is also coming from the FET flagships and from the ERANETs. But those projects that are, let's say, or were funded via the ERANET calls are this year no longer eligible for the EIC transition. So like I said, these are the 4 projects with Czech participants. The first one is actually the one that Veronika is presenting or representing today, and this is a project that is a Czech coordinator, so it's coordinated by a research center of the Palacký University of Olomouc. Another project is with the participation of the Institute of Molecular Genetics of the Czech Academy of Sciences. And then the 2 successful participants from last year are coming from the international Center for Clinical Research in Brno, and from the Institute of Scientific Instruments of the Czech Academy of Sciences. So this was all from the let's say overall the broad view of this instrument. So I will ask again if we can hand over to Veronika.
Well, I really hope that now it's a bit better compared to last time.
Yeah, we can hear you better. Let's see.
Amazing.
So and give you the floor.
Thank you so much. And sorry again, it's a bit hectic here with, we are at the Expo 2025 in Stuttgart, and it's just like 1,000 people around, and yeah, it's just crazy. Anyway, sorry again, and let me start again then. So yeah, I'm representing the Trans2Rechem project today. I hope you can see the slides. It was basically, as it was said, coordinated from the Czech side, so coordinating that by Palacký University Olomouc with industrial partner from Italy called Italcont, which is a manufacturer of supercapacitors, and then Bar-Ilan University in Israel, which is also a big energy storage partner. So our transition was focused on 2D chemistry-based supercapacitor material from proof of concept to applications. Basically, this project was awarded in 2022, and it's finishing this year. What I want to talk about today is basically my personal experience and also the experience of our, whole consortia, I would say. And yeah, let's get into it. So just a brief overview of what we are doing and what basically was the rationale behind the project. So first, during my master's, actually, I was able to work on one material that proved to be very, very useful for supercapacitors. Supercapacitors are a way of, or like a technology how to store energy, and they can provide the energy very fast. So we identified this potential, and we were able to apply for ERC proof of concept. This was awarded, and we were able to scale up the synthesis further. And then, based on this project, we were able to submit the application for EIC transition. Within the EIC transition, we were able to go through all these points, as you can see here. So first, basically, in order to make the final prototype, you need to make electrodes. So we had to optimize how to put the material on the electrodes, let's say, then how to build prototypes. And for the prototyping part, it was mainly with collaboration with our partners. And then, as I mentioned, we have one industrial partner, the Italcont, and via them, we really want to sell our material further. So when we were selecting the partners, we were really careful about having a clear idea what each partner can bring, because from what we found out, it's really important that you are complementary to each other, but you also have some synergy. It's also good to know them or have references, because within the project, you really need to heavily rely on them. And also, in my point of view, it was very, very beneficial that we had an industrial partner or end user, in your case, maybe, because they can bring absolutely different points of view for the project. Because us as a scientists, sometimes we don't see beyond the lab. So having someone to tell us, oh, your process is cute, but it's absolutely not ready to be, implemented in my factory. We need to optimize it. We need to basically add some things or reduce some things. So then it's basically a ready product. So this was super valuable. So I would definitely recommend bringing someone from the industry. Also, and it was already mentioned, the right number of partners is also key. And as also was mentioned, shared vision and IP strategy alignment was also very important to basically be on the same boat and somehow have the same vision of what we want to achieve throughout the project. Regarding the drafting of the project, we basically, just recently I was told that we were supposed to do it in a way that first we identified the business opportunity, and then we figured out how we can address it with our solution. So we basically saw that there is a need for really high performing supercapacitors that can replace some of the batteries. So that's how we basically sold our idea towards this business opportunity. Moreover, during the drafting, we hired a consulting company to basically help us with the proper drafting, to have the right phrases and so on, and to also have it more concise, because sometimes the academic writing can be a bit different from what I think was expected from us. So having someone to really discuss how we write the project was super helpful. As it was mentioned, it should align with the EIC transition objectives. And what was one of the most important parts that we spent a lot of time on was actually the risk management, because throughout the project, and I will talk about it a bit later, but we encountered some challenges, but thanks to the risk management part, we were able to manage it. But it's really something that I think a lot of people may overlook, but it's very important. So then we basically submitted the application. We were selected for the interview. We got through the interview as well, and then we got the project. Regarding the project running, I will show and I will share with you some experiences, some personal experiences that I found like really useful. So first of all, be in a almost constant contact with your partners, because when you are developing some technology, every single small detail is super important, and communicating these details among the partners is also super important. So we have like a WhatsApp communication channels, basically on a weekly, maybe sometimes 2 days, 3 days basis. We are having non-stop calls almost every week. And then of course we have one meeting per month, which is like official with all the partners, usually online. And then we have also in-person consortium meetings once a year, where we basically, assess what the progress, like how everything was going and so on, what are the challenges, what are the issues, how to solve them and so on. And we also found out that it's much better to just get on a plane and visit your partner instead of spending hours on Teams. Because, so for example, me and my colleague from Olomouc, we went to Italy to really go into the company, Italcont, and to see how they are doing it. And it was such a helpful experience and helpful visit to see everything, in your own eyes. So I would really recommend, if you get the project, do the in-person visits and ask everything that you can, because basically sharing this practical knowledge, at least in our technical project, was super important. So that I would also really point out. Moreover, focus on exploitation and also post-project planning. This is something that's connected with like the shared vision and so on. Talk about, what will be the role of the partner maybe after the project ends. Will they want to collaborate with you afterwards and so on? We are lucky that both of our partners are very happy to, stay in touch and continue with the technology, either with the university or with the spin-out company. But it's definitely something that I think requires some discussion and some, some planning. And now for the challenges and changes and so on. So of course you can plan whatever you want basically, but there will be deviations, there will be some challenges and changes. And as I mentioned before, having a robust risk management plan is a key. Being able to pivot and also being able to design a good and a valid mitigation plan is very important. So I'll share with you here some 3 challenges that we had. So first, we basically had this 2 challenges or 2 milestones, let's say, not challenges, sorry, that we were supposed to build like 500 farad supercapacitor and a 1000 farad supercapacitor. But after we had some feedback from possible customers, they were like, oh, it's fine if you just show us the 500. So then, based on this feedback, we were like, okay, we can use all the energy, all the material, all the electrodes for something more meaningful. So we were actually able to build more prototypes with this change. The second one was that within one work package, we were supposed to basically build all the prototypes in Italy. But in Italy, as I mentioned, it's an industrial partner, and it's much harder for them to create a suitable environment, in our case, to have like a fully functional, nice glove box. And basically, after they did some trials and so on, it was just not working. And we were like, okay, so what would be the most ideal, most fast mitigation plan? So we basically just packed whatever they had in Italy, brought it to the Czech Republic, and the process was moved, and the prototypes were good. So also that was one of the pivots that we had to make, and it was again successful. But it required a lot of planning, but it also required, let's say, a will of both of the partners to be like, oh yeah, I will borrow you this, and we'll do it. And it went fine. And the third one was so one of our partners from Israel. Due to the war in Israel, their experiments were spoiled, and they were, of course, not able to draft some, deadlines and like deliverables, milestone, and so on. So basically, we were in touch with our project officer. Their deadlines were extended, experiments were repeated, and now it's all good. We are on the plan again, but it was also something that we had to somehow face, and we had to pivot, and we were supporting them, of course. So that would be that. Also, I would point out that if you get the project and you have, for example, a lot of the deliverables, a lot of the milestones, make sure that you really spend time on them. Because we found out during our first review meeting that basically we need to put much more information there. And it makes sense because it's supposed to be a document where basically if anyone can read it, then they should understand what we are doing. So that was also one big lesson that we learned, that all the basically reports and everything that we are reporting back to the European Union, then it has to be super detailed. Also, make sure, and this is just like a probably a very technical thing, but make sure that all of the partners are reporting the results in the same way. Because, for example, us in Olomouc, we are more for the supercapacitors. In Barilan, they were more in batteries. And the way how you sometimes calculate things is a bit different. So make sure that you have standard protocols for everything. And then you will be fine with, all the reporting. And you are sure that basically what they are reporting is also what we would report. Also, make sure to prepare for the review meetings, because what we usually do is we have a mock meeting one day before, when we basically pitch our pitch decks, and we try to prepare. And then it's much better for the eventual review meeting, because then you are prepared and so on. And also for the review meetings, don't assume that the reviewers had time to read the deliverables. Be detailed. Don't be just like 5 minutes and the rest you can read. No, be really thorough and be really detailed and explain everything that's important for your project, and what's basically saying how much progress have you made. And now for the final part. So basically, as one of the results of the project was basically establishing a company. And 1 year ago, we were able to establish a company called Atomiver. It's a spin-out company from Palacký University Olomouc. And the key technology is the same key technology like we were working on the Trans2D project, which is the nitrogen dope graphene for supercapacitors. Just a bit about the company. We don't really want to be another supercapacitor manufacturer. We just want to supply our active material to the manufacturers, so they will apply their processes to make the final device. Because as you know, supercapacitors come in various shapes, forms, sizes. So basically, they will apply that knowledge, and we will provide our material side. Also, the founding team of this company is basically 3 founders that are incorporated in the EIC project, and only 1 external person. So basically, all the knowledge that was generated throughout the Trans2D project is now transferred to the company. And it's transferred to the company via an exclusive license agreement with the Palacký University Olomouc. That's like regarding the technology and data and so on. And basically, as I said, the spin-out was basically set as one of the results of the project, because during drafting, we had the opportunity to discuss like what should be the expected result and so on. And we were recommended that a spin-out company could be a viable thing, and it really was. Also, I would like to point out that basically the initial drafted business opportunity that we saw at the start of the project proved to be viable, because already now Atomiver has gained a lot of traction, a lot of feedback, and a lot of potential customers. So in this case, the fact that we were backed basically by the EIC Transition Grant is also adding a lot of credibility. That it's a spin-out company, which is based on a lot of years of research, but already you can say, oh, but we already on this technology, it was, I don't know, 2.5 million euros was invested. So it's like you are not starting from zero. You are already starting from EIC transition. And I think that's really important when you are then as a company talking to potential customers. So this is just a quick roadmap, basically, of the project and also of the company. So yeah, as I said, we started in the proof of concept grant, the up to DCAM, where we basically were able to scale up the synthesis and so on. Then we were lucky to get the EIC Transition project in 2022 with the budget of 2.5 million euros. And last year, we established the Atomiver company as a spin-out, which is building on all this knowledge before. And already as Atomiver, we were able to obtain 2 fundings. First one is technology incubation from the Czech Invest agency in the Czech Republic. And the second one is NATO Diana Accelerator Program, which is coming from NATO. We all know NATO. And basically it's focused on the dual use of our technology. And for basically the next steps for the company, because the project is finishing soon, is still take all the knowledge and everything that we have been able to do throughout the implementation of the project and take it further. So for fundraising, we are planning to build a pilot line, and we are also developing some prototyping capabilities. But with that, we still have the backing of the 2 consortium members, Italcont and Barilan, because they are also happy to keep collaborating with the company now and to basically still, have a strategic partnerships and collaborations and so on. We also want to apply for some non-dilutive funding. It means not investors. And again, we'll be able to use that we are a spin-out of a university which got the EIC Transition Grant. So that will be it. Thank you so much for your attention, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Great, thank you so much. I have to say that this time your connection was perfect, so we could hear you perfectly. I don't know for how long you can stay with us. I think it probably is not for too long. So if there are any questions, please ask them now, the participants. And thank you also for being so detailed in your presentation and very practical, because it's really now good to see also experience for the project that is already being almost close to the end. So you fulfilled all the steps necessary, and you gained all the experience from it. So we are grateful that you are sharing it. Ilona Gottwaldova has a question.
Hi, Veronica. Thank you for this talk. It was amazing. You are a researcher, but you speak about collaboration with industry and IPR rights as if it was something completely natural to you. Can you tell me whether you took any training in these areas or whether you just learned by doing?
That's a good question. Basically, it was like a mistake. Oh, I need to do something differently. I think that regarding IP, it was very much learning on the go. But I have to say that I took when we got the EIC transition, we got the access to the acceleration services. And I took the tech to market training. I took also some other trainings. And that was also very helpful because, for example, one of them, I can't remember now the name, but there was like a 6-month program that was basically teaching you all these things. And so I took that. It was quite some time commitment, but in the end, it was well worth it because the information that we were able to get from this program was so good. So at the start, it was like learning as we go. But throughout the project, thanks to the European Innovation Council and the services there, we were able to also take some courses and learn and so on.
Thank you for the context.
Thank you too.
Great, thank you so much. And it's really nice to see that really the beneficiaries are using those services and they're very beneficial. So that's also quite encouraging.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even now, I'm here because we got the EIC transition, and I mean, within the, basically the network of the EIC transition grants that were awarded, you are also able to, develop some strategic partnerships, I would say, with other projects. So when we are attending these like networking events or, some expos and so on, you are able to talk, and you are even able to extend what you already have within your consortium, and you can establish new collaborations. So basically now I'm here basically trying to network and trying to see whether we will be able to somehow, I don't know, there is a Porsche car parked like, I don't know, 50 meters from here. So maybe I can go talk to them and be like, oh, we got the EIC transition grant. Do you want to talk with us? And I mean, yeah, the access to all these like big players on the market without the EIC transition grant, like the stamp, yes, we got it, it would be very hard to approach them.
Great. Sounds great. You're very enthusiastic. It's great to see. We also are having some extra information by Adele in the chat, so you can read them. I can't see any further questions, or I don't know if you have questions. Please tell me now or raise your hand. If not, I think Veronica, the applicants can, hopefully applicants can also approach you by email or different.
Absolutely. Anytime, just shoot me an email. I'll reply, but I see one more hand up. So
just one more hand. I think it's again Ilona.
Okay, so sorry to be the one who's asking all the questions, but I have one more question. Usually, we hear about how this works from you and how well it goes. In a way, you also pointed out some things to take care about or to watch out for. But was there anything you would have done differently?
Oh, that's a good question. I think that maybe we were a bit more optimistic about the timelines, because we did not expect that basically everything takes so much time. So even with like, some when we were buying some new equipment, or generally just like transferring, I don't know, samples from Israel to Italy and then back to Czechia. So I would say that we should have set the deadlines a bit longer, push them a bit further, because sometimes the time constraints were really, we were too optimistic. So I would say that. And also, I think that at the start of the project, we did not communicate as much as we should have. So I think like really make the time to start communicating at the start of the project, and don't start when something goes wrong for the first time, because then, yeah. So I would say these two things, but otherwise, I think we were lucky with the way that we are able to collaborate with our partners, and our partners are very open. So even if something goes wrong, we have open communication and we can solve it very, very fast. So, yeah.
Thank you for this. This was really interesting. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we also thank you very much once again. We'll move on with our program, and thank you, and enjoy the meeting and all the meetings. And
thank you so much. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you very much, and goodbye.
Thank you. Bye all.
So, like I said, we can move on with the presentation and have a look at like further practical issues or practical aspects for you as hopefully as applicants. So first of all, let's run through some key documents that you should go through and that are important for you if you want to put together an application to the EIC transition. So first of all, of course, I've already mentioned the work program of the European Innovation Council for 2025. So I really recommend for you to really read through the texts that are relevant, but not only to the EIC transition, but also some parts that are, let's say, more general. Because they can give you like better insight and better idea about the EIC and what the EIC is aiming at and what its purpose and so on. So there are like some short introductory parts that you can read and where you will see the overall strategic goals of the EIC and its KPIs, so that you have an idea also where all the programs are aiming at. then it's usually, or it's important to have a look at the summary of the main changes, so that you know what's potentially new in the year. So currently in the 2025, maybe like a small spoiler, there are not many like major changes for the EIC transition this year, but if there were changes, we will point them out later on. It may be also important for you to read some of the annexes, especially the Annex 2, with more general information, but this information may affect like either eligibility or sort of like credibility of either your project or some of your partners. You may be affected by the, let's say, restrictions that are focusing on the protection of the European communication networks, so especially in the areas of cybersecurity of the 5G networks, because there are some entities, well, very few entities are not eligible to participate. You may be actually, or it may be relevant for you, let's say, the do not significant harm principle. You have to be careful about it, that the innovations that may potentially significantly harm the environment, social welfare, or that are primarily designed for military applications will not be funded under the EIC. Or if you have or intending to develop or use the AI, the artificial intelligence, you also need to have a deeper look at what is being required in terms of the let's say AI Act and the trustworthy artificial intelligence. So in the work program, you will of course find also the text of the call of the EIC transition. So it is not very long. So I really recommend you to read it well, so that you again understand the program and what is being required. I would like to point out that when you read it, you should be careful or pay attention to where the text says something like you have to, you must, the project should, it is expected from you or from the application, or it is recommended, you are encouraged, and so on, because there you can spot something that is really important, and it should be covered or included into your application. And last but not least, of course, read through the description of the evaluation criteria, because this is something that the evaluators will be using and will look at, so that you are bringing them what actually they are looking for in your proposal. So the second, I would say, most important document for you is the application form. The application form is being updated every year for each of the calls. So use always the most recent version. You can download it from the funding and tenders portal, from the submission system. When you open the system, there is a folder where you can find all the application form and all the annexes that you need that are updated for the current year, and they are also in the editable form, the editable version. So of course, in the application form, you will find instructions in the beginning and throughout the document. So again, read it carefully and follow the structure of the template, also so that you provide all the information that the evaluators will need. Cover all the subsections that are there and all the bullet points. So do not skip anything. Do not, say this is not relevant for us. If it really is not relevant for you, then state it and underline it in your application. There is a part that is called a cover page. It is not the one that you see on the right-hand side. It's a different sheet, but you will see it's really called a cover page. And this is very important, because this is where you specify the project that you are or whose result you are using, and other very important information, so that you really need to fill it in. If you are planning any clinical studies in your project proposal, then you have to add a specific annex on the clinical studies. And I will repeat here that if you were not part of the previous eligible project, whose results are going to be used in your proposal, then you need to include a specific annex, the letter for ownership of IP. You can also, for further guidance, for more additional information, you can use either the annotated proposal template, which was developed by the national contact points, the international network of the national contact points. It is the version of the proposal template, which also includes some kind of practical tips, like hints, either from the NCPs or from ASMEA or from the evaluators. So it can make a little bit easier to you to understand the template and to fill it in properly. You can also use a document that is called the EIC Transition Guide, which is, I would say, more intended for the beneficiaries. But you can also again find useful information that you may use also at the stage of the project preparation. And I would, of course, recommend to go through the frequently asked questions and answers that are available at the EIC websites, and where you also can find plenty of answers to your potential questions that have been already asked in the past. So then let's have a look at the evaluation process and the criteria. So we will see how more in detail, how the applications are being evaluated and what the evaluators are looking at. So there are two, let's say, main steps within the evaluation process. One is the remote evaluation, and the second step is the interview stage. So first you submit your proposal to the let's say remote evaluation stage, where your application is being evaluated by at least 3 experts remotely, and you will receive the results of your evaluation approximately within 9 weeks after the deadline of EIC transition. A certain share of the proposals that are above all the thresholds, the minimum thresholds, is invited to the interview stage. Those proposals that are above all the thresholds but are not invited to the interview stage will receive the so-called seal of excellence. And after, if you participate to the interview, then you receive the final result, the evaluation result, within like 4 weeks after the interview week. So here you can see the criteria that are being used for the remote stage. There are 3 the main criteria that are being used in Horizon Europe. In general, the excellence, the impact, and the implementation. You can also see that there are different thresholds in EIC transition. So there are higher thresholds for excellence and impact, where you need to receive at least 4 points out of 5 to be eligible, let's say, for the next stage. And under the implementation, the threshold is 3 out of 5. Under each of the criteria, you can see the, let's say, sub-criteria that the evaluators will look at and will evaluate. So in the excellence, what is important, of course, how let's say breakthrough is your technology, then how sound your objectives are, and they also, of course, have a look at your methodology, how you approach the works, and how you're going to proceed with the, let's say, more technological part. In the impact is, of course, is the credibility of the impact, then a potential economic and or societal benefits of, let's say, your innovation, and the investment readiness and your go-to-market strategy. In the implementation, then what is evaluated is the quality and motivation of your team, of the team behind your project, and then your key performance indicators and milestones, and of course this setup of your work plan and the allocation of the resources. For your information, here I'm sharing the evaluation of the experts from the call 2024. So you have an idea like who the experts are. So you can see like 60% of them are coming from the higher education and research organization, but there is also a relatively like a good percentage, almost 30% of experts that are coming from the non-research private bodies. So the experts who will like have a look at your proposals maybe also coming or are coming from the private sector. And then there are also there is a certain number of experts coming from the non-research public bodies and from like other types of bodies that do not fall under these categories. So if you make it successfully through the remote phase of the evaluation, you may be invited to the interview with the EIC jury. So, like I said, it's not all the proposals that are above the threshold, but there's like a certain let's say pool. It's the best ranked proposals that like request an aggregated financial support that is equal more or less to 2.2 times of the budget of the call. When you are invited to the interview, then you have to select the representatives that will be presenting the project. It can be up to 5 people per project, and they present during the interview. They present the proposal to the jury members, who are like 4 to 6 experts, and then there is a Q&A section where you reply on what the experts are asking. The EIC jury may also have or make use of an assessment that by the European Patent Office that shows if what you are proposing, the technology, if it's really like something new, if there is a really this aspect of technological novelty. In the interview stage, you are evaluated not with the points, but only with like a go and no-go system. Of course, if you receive a go, then you get the funding. But this year there is like there is going to be a new possibility, and that if you are, let's say, if you receive a go, but there is not enough budget to support your project, you may be placed by the jury on the reserve list. So there is still like a certain hope. If there is an extra budget, you can still get funded. And what is also new is that starting this year, the no-go project will be awarded a seal of excellence, which is not new, but the new part is that it will include like everybody, including the consortia. So previously, it was only the project with the monobeneficiary who was an SME, but starting from this year, it's going to be like all the applicants, including the consortia. And under the link, you can also have a look who the jury members are and what is their background. So these are just briefly the criteria for the interview. Like you can see, they are mostly similar to what is being evaluated under the remote evaluation, but there are some like different sub-criteria, especially under impact. There is a market and economic impact, and in the implementation, there is they also have a look at the risks, the risk assessment. So this is the end of my part. Maybe before I hand over to Adela, I will ask if there are any questions from the audience. So I can't see any. I can't see any questions in the chat. So I will then give the floor to Adela Dvořáková from ASME. She's going to now tell you a little bit more about the scenarios that you can take to develop and commercialize actually your innovation, because it's the EIC transition is, I would say, quite flexible in this. So there are different pathways that you may explore, and she will give you more details about this. So I will share the presentation and give you the floor.
Thanks a lot, Michaela, and hello, everyone. Michaela, shall I just present this part and then give the word back to you and then continue with the rest of my presentation? Is that how? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So now my intervention will be actually quite short. So it will be only about presenting you, let's say, roughly what would be the commercialization pathways that you can choose for your project. So Michaela already explained very well that in EIC, we are basically expecting you to have a business intention, let's say. So you need to apply with the intention to develop the technology and also to develop or further develop your business so that you finally achieve the goal of commercialization. Next slide, please. So I've put together here, let's say, the main commercialization pathways out of which you can choose. There would be possibly more of them, but let's say these are the most typically chosen ones. Michaela also correctly said that from our point of view, which one you choose is basically up to you. What is important for us is that it, let's say, somehow makes sense for, taking into account what type of entity you are, taking into account what you would like to achieve and what impact you would like to achieve. there must be coherence, of course, between your objectives and the pathway that you choose to achieve those objectives. Now, when we look at the graphic that I've put here on this slide, so basically the way you have to think about it, you need to think about the result that you are trying to achieve. So you want to develop your technology and translate it in most likely a kind of product or service. What I think is important to stress, we already mentioned here in this session that IP is super important. I would like to really stress this. This is super important for us. And also later in the presentation, I will be dealing with IP a little bit more in detail. But I would like to remind you here that you always have to keep in mind that whatever you are doing, you need to make sure that you have IP to what you are creating or developing. So trying to commercialize technology without having control over it is very difficult. And I don't want to make very binary statements or something like it's impossible. I don't know if it's impossible. It might be possible in some specific cases, but in the majority of the cases, it is not. So keep IP in mind. It's very important. So let's say that you have your result, you have your technology that is properly IP protected. And based on that, you can choose or you can think about how you would like to bring this technology to the market. When we go from up and then clockwise, so at the beginning we have a spin out, so you can choose to set up a spin out company. That will be actually quite typical for universities, because universities will likely not be selling the products or services by themselves, but they will want to establish an entity that will be able to actually do it. But of course, it's also a valid pathway for a company. You can also, as a company, spin out another company if that makes sense for you business-wise. Next thing you can think about is assignment of IP or sale of IP. So if you protect your technology properly with a meaningful IP portfolio, you can actually take that whole IP portfolio and transfer it to someone else who will be able to take it from there, let's say, and continue on the path instead of you. A similar scenario is a license agreement. So a license agreement is not that you transfer the IP to someone, but you exchange basically the use rights to the IP for some monetary remuneration for royalties. These three pathways are typical for universities. So spin out, assignment of IP, or licensing is something that universities or research centers will typically do. But as I said, it's also equally valid for businesses. Then for businesses, probably the first thing that will come to mind is sale of products or services. So that means you by yourself want to make the product, or you can maybe also outsource the manufacturing, but you are the one who is responsible for sales of the products. Another pathway could be M&A, so merger or acquisition. That's also perfectly valid. Maybe in some technological fields, it might be more typical. I would say maybe in biotech, that can be something quite typical when you are, for example, developing a drug or something. And at some point, you already need that to have, let's say, a bigger partner that will help you to bring the drug to market. To be acquired by a big pharma company, for example, is not completely unusual. So that would be also a relevant way or relevant pathway to consider. And the last one that I've put on this slide is partnerships. So you can also consider partnering with other entities, for example, for co-development. That might be also, again, a similar scenario to the M&A scenario. You might be a small SME, for example, that is developing a drug, and at the beginning you might be able to get to a certain stage by yourself, but at some point you might need to have a partner who, for example, has experience in clinical trials, and you need support of someone who is, let's say, more experienced or has competencies that you are missing in your team. And then you might also consider this pathway to do co-development with a partner that brings in some expertise that you might be missing in order to really bring the product to the market. These scenarios, they are not mutually exclusive, so you can also combine them. It is absolutely normal that you might be, for example, selling your products in Europe while licensing in Asia or in other continents. That's done typically when you want to scale up quite fast, but you are not able to do it with your own means, or you are not able to do it with your own means fast enough. Then you can combine these approaches. Yeah, so you can think about it, what kind of combinations might make sense for you in different technological areas or in different geographical areas. When you are determining which route or routes you will choose, you always have to consider your own capabilities. So what you can do by yourself and where you might need help or expertise or some competencies or capabilities of someone else. You need to know your technology field and your competitive landscape. So you need to know, for example, if you have a chance to license to someone, if there is any player that would be interested in your technology, or you need to know what is typical in your technology field. So I was talking about biotech. So for example, in biotech, it might be quite usual that at some point you will start to license out or you will be acquired by someone else, because bringing a drug to the market from A to Z might be quite challenging, especially for small startups. And yeah, and also take into account what are the standard practices in your technology area. So yeah, that would be for the moment it. I will give the floor back to Michaela, and later I will continue with maybe some more details about how to describe your business model and business plan and these kind of elements in your proposal.
Yeah, thank you very much. Actually, my intervention now is going to be also quite short. Before I give you, I hand it back to you for further details. Here, we actually wanted to, or I wanted to introduce a little bit, or talk a little bit about this concept of the technology and the business readiness, because this is quite important in EIC transition. And maybe some of you are not really familiar. You are probably familiar with the technology readiness level concept, because it's something that's being like used across the Horizon Europe and also in other programs, and it's a sort of standardized framework that also has its own standard, and it's also being set in the legal documents of Horizon Europe, so you can use it. But the business readiness level is, let's say, like a framework that is not standardized. So there is no standard for the business readiness level. But it's sort of also important because it helps you to assess like how ready your technology or product or service is for commercialization. So it's important to also follow somehow how you are developing your project in terms of the business readiness. It's also maybe a little bit unclear where the project should be at the stage of the proposal. It is something that the applicants are asking like relatively often. So here I would like to just give you some hints on this. So you can, I will provide you with like 2 examples of some sort of, let's say, frameworks or concepts or tools that may help you to position yourselves at the stage of the application, but as well during the project implementation, if in case you are successful. So there is a term, either business readiness level, or you can see also MRL, which here means the market readiness level. But sometimes there are many readiness levels if you Google. So this also sometimes means a manufacturing readiness level. So in order to avoid this confusion, we prefer to use the business readiness, but you can also see the MRL. So the first tool that I would like to mention is like sort of framework or concept that has been like developed by the Technology Institute in Stockholm. It's called the Innovation Readiness level, or they call it innovation readiness level or framework. And it's composed of like 6 different readiness levels, including the business readiness level, also the technology readiness level, but they are also using like IPR readiness level, customer readiness, funding readiness. So it's like the whole concept. It's quite complex. They've been using and developing it, like I think since probably 2008. So at the moment, it's something that is really useful, and it's like a relatively easy tool. It's basically You can see it on the right hand side on the top. It's like it describes different levels of the BRL and the other RLs. In terms like what you should be most likely focusing on or dealing with when you are at, let's say, BRL1, BRL2, BRL3, and so on. And it also provides like a short description for each of the levels, so that you have a better idea about the activities or what can be reached. You can also have a look at the concept that has been like firstly developed by a Horizon 2020 project called CloudWatch Hub. They actually developed the scale that you can see on the right hand side at the bottom. So it's one of the MRLs where they are really trying to also fit the numbers of the readiness levels to the TRL and show you again like what you are probably doing or are focusing on at the different stages. It's been used by our NCP project, the Access to EIC, and kind of complemented with the help of the elements of the business model canvas. So it's been divided in a document that you can find under the link. Where it shows like when you are at, let's say, business or at the TRL 0 to 3, where you should where you should be in terms of the different, let's say, components of the business model canvas. So maybe it's not entirely clear but I think after you have a look at it and go through it, you'll understand it probably a little bit better. So these are tools that you can use and can help you. It's like I said before, they are not like binding, or you are not required by the EIC transition to use them, but they can be helpful. So I will stop here and hand over to Adela, because she's going to sort of develop further and tell you like what you should kind of include into your project proposal in terms of the business model and like business plan. Into your what you should have at this stage of the application, and then what's important to plan into your proposal or into your project after you are hopefully selected. And in the second part of this presentation, she will also focus on the questions of the intellectual property. So back to you.
Thank you, Michaela. So you can go to the next slide. I will start with some main elements that we expect in the proposals. So generally, what I would like to say is that you should focus on impact of your project. You should focus on business aspect and TRL. Those would be the main, let's say, areas where we see, let's say, most issues in the proposals. When it comes to the impact, you should identify in your proposal a promising market. Because one of the criteria, as Michaela already mentioned, is impact. So you should demonstrate that your project actually will create a meaningful impact, that it is worthwhile investing. So you need to identify what market you are expecting for your project. We have sometimes proposals that go for very specific, very small markets that are very niche, and these typically don't score very high on impact unless the niche areas for some reason is very impactful. So you need to argue, you need to argue this in your proposal. Business model and market analysis. So you need to include a preliminary business and market analysis in your proposal. Preliminary means it really does not have to be refined. I will go a little bit more in detail of what it means, preliminary. But there have to be certain elements, but you don't need to go into all details, because the business model validation and refinement will be done in the project. When it comes to TRL, I might be repeating here, but I think that it's not bad to repeat these things because we see a lot of struggles with that, and that's TRL. TRL3, that means completed TRL3 is the minimum requirement to apply for transition. TRL4 is preferred, especially if it's a project with high technological risks, then we prefer that you already have a TRL4. And TRL5 or 6 is too high. In that case, with TRL6, you should apply to accelerator. With TRL5, unfortunately, you cannot this year, but still it is too high for transition. It might be that you are developing something that has several components, and it might be that maybe one of the components is on a slightly higher TRL, then that would be acceptable. But overall, the majority of the technologies or the core technologies should be at TRL3 to 4, and this is one of the main requirements. You can have a look on the right side also, just very roughly. We have created an estimate of resources allocated in our projects into technology and business development. So majority of the projects invest approximately 60% of their resources that get from us or the grant into technology development and 40% into business development. The reason why I'm saying it is that you should keep in mind that in transition, the business aspect is really super important. So you should plan resources for it, you should plan time for it, and you should not be focusing your proposal and your project only on technology maturation. Next slide, please. Okay, so the preliminary or incipient business model, as we are calling it, it must present initial elements of a business plan and a business model. So there must be your value proposition, there must be some competition identified, some customers' needs, and so on. The proposal should foresee activities that will increase your market and business readiness. So for example, you should foresee an analysis of the competition. So you should in the proposal already indicate what is the competitive situation, but the real market and competitive analysis should be done in the project. And you should also foresee in the project elements related to certification, regulation, and standardization. Especially in some technology field, it's very important that you also foresee these type of activities. You are supposed to present business assumptions and hypotheses that are coherent with your TRL level. And you are expected to further validate them and refine them during the project. So this is the, let's say, in generic terms, this is the thinking. Next slide, please. Now let's go into detail of elements of the successful transition proposals. So a successful transition proposal has already done a preliminary market research and understood the potential customers and their needs. It does not mean that you need to have already customers or something like that, but you need to have an idea of who your customers will be and what the needs are. You should describe in the proposal clearly what's the problem and the opportunity that your technology is solving. And you should describe clearly how your invention or your innovation should be solving this problem. So that has to be clearly understandable from your proposal. What is the problem? What's the need? And how you are going to solve it. A successful proposal should also identify market and competition. And there should be an initial market characterization. So whether the market is existing, whether it's emerging, growing, and there should be a realistic estimation of the market size. I'm underlining here realistic because another thing that we see quite often is that the estimates are very optimistic. And when you present an estimate that is too optimistic and not credible, it will also potentially be penalized in the evaluation. So you really need to demonstrate that you have an idea of the market and you realistically can estimate the size of it. Next slide. Okay, now a little bit more detail to the business model. So we are expecting in the proposal some essential elements of the incipient business model. What you can use as a basis is the business model canvas that you see here on the graphic that I've included. Business model, just that we have a definition. So that's a company's plan for making profit and providing value to customers. Examples of what should be included in the incipient business model should be your value proposition, the target markets, revenue streams, customer segments, channels, and key resources and key partnerships. So basically, we can say that 7 out of the 9 main elements of the business model canvas are recommendable to be covered in your proposal. Cost structure and customer relationships are not requested. So these 2 elements you can leave out from your proposal. They are not needed. If they are included, we will not penalize you. It is okay. You can, of course, include when you have more information and a better idea already. It's fine to include it, but just that you know, this is not expected. You should also make a difference in your proposal or distinction between mature markets and new and emerging markets, like for example quantum, so that you should also reflect in your business model whether the market is already established or not really yet. And we also allow for innovative business models as long as let's say there is a kind of you have a kind of realistic plan and realistic vision how to validate this business model, but innovative business models are also fine from our point of view. Next slide. I think we skipped one slide, didn't we? Can you go one? Yeah, indeed. Business plan. So apart from the business model, you should also include some elements of your business plan. The business plan details a company's goals and how it intends to achieve them. So business model is basically a fundamental component of a business plan, and business plan then further develops more in detail the business model. So the incipient business plan should be built on the incipient business model that you will present in the proposal. You should include some of the elements of the business plan, for example, the products and services that you are intending to create, some market analysis, competition analysis, organization and management, and so on. Financial projections and marketing strategy are not requested, and indeed, you can include them. We will again not penalize you if you include them, but it is not necessary that you make any financial estimates or any calculations or marketing strategy. This is not needed. You also don't need to have a fully registered company to apply for EIC transition, so you can actually plan for these activities for the project. Next slide, please. Yes, so competition analysis, this is also something that is maybe not always clearly understood by the applicants. So a preliminary competition analysis should be included in the proposal. So you should, let's say, have an idea what is your competition and what is the competitive landscape in your technology area, but it will be further refined during the project execution. The competition analysis should be included in the business plan in the proposal. So the incipient one, the detailed competition analysis you will then do during the project, and you will include it in the final business plan that is one of the deliverables of the project. So as previously, this competition analysis does not have to be perfect, but it cannot be absent. And we also don't accept any statements about competition that are not justified. So if you simply state that there is no competition, it is usually scrutinized. So you need to justify why you think that, present some information about the competitive landscape so that your statements are credible, let's say. Whatever you put in the proposal, you always have to make sure that this is credible and that it is clear where your statements are coming from. And yeah, when it comes to new markets, the analysis could include technologies from private or public labs that are being developed in the same field. So that applies to those markets that are not yet mature, because the technologies are generally still in development. Next slide. When it comes to customers, the proposal can include pilot customers with some credible commitment to let's say, be involved in your project or act as pilot test customers. The description of the potential customers, it shouldn't be mistaken with traction. So we don't need that you have customer traction at the moment when you are applying for transition. That would be more for EIC Accelerator, where some early traction is maybe expected. But for transition, this is not necessary. But you need to have an idea of who your customers are. And if you already have, let's say, a pilot customer that would maybe present a letter of commitment or something, that might be beneficial. Not required, not necessary to present something like that, but it might be beneficial. But in any case, you need to show knowledge of the customers. You need to have an idea who could the customers be. So yeah, market traction is not necessary. That's very important. And you also don't need to show or demonstrate availability of pilot production facilities. Again, it would be beneficial. It would be seen positively, I would say, if you already have an idea where you will be demonstrating your technology and where you will be producing finally, but it is not necessary at this stage. Again, proposals will not be penalized for these kind of elements, but if they are there, proposals will not be penalized if these elements are missing, but if they are there, they will also not be penalized. Next slide, please. Now, when it comes to your team, this is also very important. You need to focus also on the team or the description of the team, and it becomes particularly relevant in the interview. In the proposal, what is expected is that you identify an exploitation partner and exploitation model. License, as I said already previously, is a legitimate business model, but it needs to be credible and it needs to make sense. For TRL 3 to 4, which is expected in transition, you do not need to have the team exactly identified, but what is necessary is that it is clear that there is a leader who has a vision and who will lead the project. So a kind of leadership is already expected at this stage. Business knowledge should be part of the team. So you should also foresee in your consortium or in your company someone that has business experience or business expertise. What you cannot get in-house, you should make sure that you will have some external advice on certain specific topics if needed. And if you did not identify the C-level teams or the management team in your proposal, you should at least credibly explain how you will achieve that during the project. So this can be one of the activities during the project. We also have services that can help you to set up the team and to construct the company in a way that it can succeed. So you can make use of our services for that. But in the proposal, you need to be credible about that this is what you are aiming to achieve and how you are planning to achieve it. Next slide, please. Yes. Performance indicators, that's also important. So you should include some KPIs in your project. Those KPIs should be objectively measurable, they should be credible, and they could be also evolutive, that actually we like to see. So for example, you could identify, or you could somehow set up in the project that in midterm, for example, a certain percentage of KPIs will be achieved, or a certain percentage or certain performance will be achieved, while at the end of the project, the performance will go to 100%. So some kind of evolutive KPIs that will allow us to track the progress of the project and achievement of the objectives during the project. And finally, IP situation. IP situation should be described in the proposal. It is expected. There is even an explicit criterion about IP. So you should not omit that. You should describe what is your IP situation at this moment and what is your IP strategy. IP, just very briefly, I imagine you all know what it is. On the right side, you see the main forms of IP. So we are talking about copyright, patents, trademarks, trade secrets. So this is what we are referring to when we talk about IP or IP rights. As I wrote also in the chat, if you would like to learn more about IP and about how you can develop your IP strategy and how you can use the IP to support your business, you can attend our training that we will hold on the 11th and 18th of June. I have put the registration link in the chat, so please register if you are interested to know more about IP. Next slide, please. Yes, so main elements that we are checking in the proposals are these three that I've listed here. It's the quality of IP portfolio. So if you have an IP portfolio already, you have some patents, maybe you have a trademark, you maybe have trade secrets, you should list them in the proposal, and we check your current situation. We check the quality of your IP portfolio. Michael also mentions that we might make use of help of the European Patent Office for the evaluation of transition proposals, and we actually do it. We did it last year, and we will do it this year as well. And this is one of the things, one of the, let's say, services that the EPO is providing us currently, and that is that those proposals that are selected for interview, they are distributed to the examiners of the European Patent Office, and they check exactly these kind of elements. So the first thing that they check is what is your IP portfolio and if it really covers your technology. So sometimes we see, for example, proposals where there are some patents listed, but actually with deeper analysis, we find out that the patents are not really covering the technology that is being developed in the project. So be careful about this and check whether your patents are really covering your technology, because we are also looking at these aspects. Then we are looking at IP strategy, and what the patent examiners are also doing for us is that they check prospects for patenting. So for those projects that don't have patent portfolio yet, the examiners are checking whether there is something to be developed in the project that can be patented later on. So in the proposal, you are not expected to be at a certain stage when it comes to registration of IP. You are not expected to have patents, so you can have them, you don't have to have them. We look at the proposals basically holistically and assess the situation and your strategy. If you have the patents, we look at them and assess them. If you don't have them, it's okay, but you should also be clear in the proposal about why you don't have them, and you should demonstrate that you have an IP strategy. Yes, next slide, please. Yes, IP strategy. What do we mean when we talk about IP strategy? It is your plan to use IP to support your business. So this is basically like a rough definition of what IP strategy means. Main elements that should be in your proposal are that, so you should think first about your commercialization strategy. So what pathway are you choosing? How do you want to bring the technology to the market? What is what you want to commercialize? So what will be your final product or service? And how you want to commercialize it. So think about your product, about your technology, and about your business model. And then you are expected to describe in the proposal how you are planning to protect your technology or the final products that you will be commercializing, and for what purpose, so that it supports your business goals. So this is basically what is expected. So you should think about what you have, how you want to commercialize. So for example, you are developing a drug, so again, biotech. You want to license out, for example. So you need to think about how you need to protect your technology and what should be protected so that you can effectively license it out. So you need to protect those elements that somebody actually, or you need to protect the USP, let's say, or something for someone would be willing to pay. So this is more or less the thinking that you should have when you are thinking about IP strategy. What is also recommendable is that you include in the proposal already the types of IP rights that you are planning to use and to combine them. For technology, you will probably think about patents or maybe utility models for some reason in some cases. For some things, you will be thinking about copyright. For business names, you will be thinking about trademarks. So you can also outline generally which types of IP rights you are planning to use and how you want to combine them. What is definitely not IP strategy, and we see it very often, is our statements like IP matters will be regulated in the consortium agreement. This is not IP strategy, and it will not bring you any, it will not bring you penalization again, but it will not bring you any advantage either, because consortium agreement is mandatory and IP matters are always regulated in the consortium agreement, but only from the legal point of view and not from the point of view of IP strategy. It's just a different thing. So you can avoid these type of statements. When it comes to FTO, there is also something that, applicants are struggling with. FTO is not needed at the proposal stage, so you don't need to have conducted freedom to operate analysis, but it is advantageous. It is well seen, let's say, if you have done a kind of preliminary FTO analysis already, and in any case, it is recommendable that you include FTO analysis among the activities in the project, and that you include a deliverable that is related to FTO, because at the end of the project, you should have a much better idea of your IP, and you should have, I would say, having FTO analysis done at the end of transition proposal is almost a must. So you should include it as a deliverable. Next slide, please. Yeah, when we get back to the IP strategy, just that maybe this could help you when you are thinking about your strategy and describing it in the proposal. You can check these graphs where we have depicted what are, actually the EPO has depicted, what are the main reasons why SMEs are patenting. So you can see what are all those reasons why you should have your IP, or why IP could be advantages of you, for you, and for which purposes, let's say, you can use it. So it's for enhancing reputation, for having freedom to operate, for securing contracts and partnerships, preventing imitation, and so on. So these are kind of some ideas for you that you can think of, but you should always apply them to your specific case. You have to think about what you are developing, who are your competitors, what the competitors are working on, and for what purpose you want to be protecting your technology and which elements. So that's basically what you need to do. You need to tailor it to your specific case. IP strategy is always tailored, so it should not copy any generic texts or anything like that. And just an advice, not only for preparation of your proposal, but also for, even if you don't get to transition project, when you are setting up your IP strategy, do not outsource it. IP strategy should be inherent to the company, the same as business model development and business plan development. It should not be outsourced. When it comes to IP, you can outsource some specific elements or some specific tasks. FTO analysis, for example, that's typically outsourced, and that I would say is quite recommendable to outsource. But IP strategy it should stay inside of the business. So don't outsource IP strategy. Next slide, please. Yes, Michael already actually mentioned this, but I will repeat just that repetition is the mother of wisdom, as we say. There is a new proposal template, so always use the new proposal template. Don't use anything that you previously saved on your PC. Always download it from the Funding and Tenders portal, and don't use any old things. The cover page is very important. Do not delete it. Keep it in the proposal. Provide there the information related to the eligible project, and provide their link to Cordis or to any other website where you can where we can access the result of your previous project. This is an eligibility requirement. So if these elements are missing in your proposal, you will be excluded right at the beginning. In the template, follow the instructions and delete them afterwards. Clearly describe the starting TRL. and the intended final user application. So this is also an eligibility requirement. TRL, if your TRL level is not fitting to what is required, you will be excluded. And finally, don't or respect the proposal page limit of 22 pages. I know it's difficult, but anything that is beyond 22 pages will be automatically deleted by the system and nobody will see it. Nobody will assess that. So the proposal will not be excluded, but anything that is beyond 22 pages, excluding the cover page, will not be read and seen. Next slide. Just a little reminder, Transition will this year again use the lump sum scheme. I'm sure that you have heard about it. It is basically a model that allows you to make as accurate estimate as possible of your costs. And once they are approved, basically they are not questioned anymore if the work is performed. So you are getting paid what you have budgeted in your proposal if the work is performed as described in the grant agreement. This might complicate a little bit the grant agreement preparation. I will tell you beforehand because we have to do more checks then in the proposals, but it will then remove the obligation to of financial reporting during the project. So it simplifies then project implementation and monitoring. But what is very important to say, we have noticed that many beneficiaries are not aware. Under the lump sum scheme, you are getting paid for completed work packages. And for uncompleted work packages, you can get a partial payment, but only at the end of the project, which means that when you get to midterm, which in EIC transition is 12 months, then there is midterm reporting. If there is no work package that was completed in the first 12 months, you will not get any interim payment. So when you are creating your work plan, make sure that at least one work package ends in the first 12 months so that you get some payment in midterm. Otherwise, you will have to wait until the end of the project to get the remaining payment that, that we owe you beyond the pre-financing that you get at the beginning. Next slide, please. Yes, I think that's your section, Michaela.
Yeah, I was a bit afraid that there was something missing. Thank you very much. I think it was again very interesting with very specific information, and maybe there are some questions on this. I can still see the hand up by Joseph, but I'm not sure.
Might be from last time still.
From last time. Or no, probably. We cannot, if you are talking that we cannot hear you, but okay, never mind. Okay, so thank you very much. Once again, maybe I will add something. I have a question and a comment. One comment, or I would like to add on the proposal templates, something that I've seen that was sometimes happening under the EIC Pathfinder, that some applicants use the annexes like the clinical studies annex to add further information on their proposal, but that was not, there were no information related to the clinical studies. So of course, I mean, don't do this for EIC transition either, because it's going to be useless. The evaluators will not see this additional information included in the wrong annex. And maybe a question on the lump sum, if you maybe can specify like what is the typical pre-financing in EIC transition?
Yes, the pre-financing is 80% of the grant, so it's actually quite a lot. And in midterm, you can get maximum 10% more payment. So even if we, in theory, would have to pay more because many work packages were completed, we cannot pay more than 10%. So after midterm reporting, you should get maximum 90%, and then the remaining 10% is for the end of the project.
Okay. So thank you very much. I don't see any questions, so we can proceed further with the presentation. I will go very quickly about through the most common shortcomings of the proposals. I will do that fast because well, many of them have been already touched upon by Adela, so this is going to be like some sort of summary. and they are actually these shortcomings and weaknesses of the proposals are coming from the real ESRs, from the evaluation summary reports. So those are they are based on the comments of the evaluators. So let's start with the okay, cannot move the slides. Okay, I will stop and try once again because I somehow cannot move the slides. Okay. I think it should be fine. Yes. So let's start with the excellence part. So under the excellence, then of course you should be showing that you are bringing something like breakthrough innovation, some real novelty. So what's of course the weakness is that either the applicant is not able to show the novelty and the let's say breakthrough character of the innovation, or what is the proposal is showing is only some incremental advancement. So it is not, I mean, convincing, like in terms of the competitive advantage towards the potential competitors or alternatives. What is related to the first point is that there are not sufficient technological details provided, so the evaluators are not able actually to evaluate or to assess how new is what you are proposing, because you are not giving them enough data and enough, let's say, details on the technological part. When some of the let's say weaker proposals are designing their objectives part, they omit that they need to be so-called smart. So you should be following the this smart concept, that your objectives should be specific, measurable, and so on. So be careful about this. And I mean, you need to be really specific throughout all your application. So here specifically in excellence, the weakness there is that the proposals are not specific enough in terms of the KPIs, the key performance indicators, that those are either too vague, or on the other hand, they are maybe too ambitious, or to the point that they are unrealistic. So be careful about this as well. Another point is the big point is the TRL. So we have heard many times that the TRL here is very, very important. It can affect your eligibility for EIC transition. So you have to be specific. You have to show well where you are at the moment and where you would like to be at the end of the project. And some of the proposals do not do this very well. So the starting TRL is not well justified, or the TRL that you are claiming is not consistent with what you are presenting in your proposal or in your work plan. And again, you need to be specific in your unique selling point, or in the information related to it, to the USP, because again, it shows how it is unique, your solution is unique, or what you are bringing to the potential users or customers, and what would be your competitive, let's say, advantage. And in terms of methodology, it can be that it is again not well structured, well developed, so it is not credible or too generic, from which the evaluators may question the feasibility of your project. Under the impact, there probably is the field with the maybe the highest number of shortcomings, because we have already heard also that this part about because it contains the information that is let's say mainly related to the impact, the business impact, not only the technological, where the applicants sometimes struggle. So what is one of the weaknesses is the analysis of the competition environment. The applicants either do not analyze this well, or they purposely underestimate their competitors, and the evaluators can see this. What is important in not only in the EIC transition, but then also in the EIC accelerator, is the potential to the scale up. We have heard that some of the proposed projects are focusing on like areas that are a little bit too niche. So that then also hinders the potential for the scale up. So the evaluators are also having a look at this, and there the application can be either like well, not ambitious enough, or too ambitious, but they do not provide like evidence that they really have such potential for like further scale up. Again, weaknesses in terms of market analysis and the growth expectations. Sometimes the applicants like do not take into account and do not provide enough information on the like regulatory requirements and compliance. Again, the important issue of the IP protection and certification, if this is like an important aspect. These elements are either missing or they are weak. The plans for actually these are weak. You have quite well have seen it in the previous section presented by Adela. The let's say weaker applications also do not show adequate plan to engage their stakeholders or their strategies for developing future partnerships, or they are not convincing in the area of environmental and societal benefits of their innovation, of their product, of their technology. And last but not least, the implementation, the let's say practical part of your project, where you show how you are going to implement it, what kind of resources do you have, how you distribute them, what sorts of risk you have identified, how you are planning to mitigate them, and so on. So of course the weaknesses are from these areas. So what can be an important weakness is that you do not have sufficient expertise in your project, in your team, and especially in some critical areas like the business development, the commercialization, and so on. Or that the roles in your team are not very clear, like who is going to do what, be responsible for, and so on. And of course, related to the resources allocation is either not well justified or well balanced. The same for the workload distribution. So you have to really pay attention to all these aspects. What is like big, I would say, problem and weakness in projects in general is the risk assessment. So sometimes or often the applicants omit some risks, or they don't focus on them enough. They don't develop this part enough. They only focus, for example, on let's say technology-related risk and not to other risks like financial, regulatory, and so on. So also be careful about this. You should also well define your milestones, and so that they can be also like quantifiable. And also pay attention to where you put your milestones and how you defined your deliverables. Because milestones, of course, and as well as deliverables are important for monitoring of the project. So how it is developing, and if you are delivering what you have planned. So these things are very important in the project, so that this can be your success can be actually somehow monitored and tracked. So this is a kind of summary of the major weaknesses for each of the evaluation criteria. Let's say the sources of the major sources of a no-go of the EIC transition proposals. So for the excellence, it can be summarized that the let's say most important problem in the proposals is a wrong timing in terms of the technology readiness level. Again, the not convincing unique selling points and the feasibility of your project. As to the impact, I would say probably it's the biggest problem out of all the evaluation criteria is the lack of understanding of the market and the competition. So either it is not well understood, or you are not showing well that you understand it, or you underestimate it, it is not developed enough. And as to the implementation, the weakest part is often the team in the consortium, or sometimes the partner that would be responsible for the exploitation of the results. Actually, the quality of the team shows often at the stage of the jury interview, where often the jury finds out that there is a lack of motivation and commitment in the team, which is needed, of course, for the success of your project and for the really purpose of the projects, where you want to show that you are, let's say, a team that has a competence, that has a strategy, and that also has some kind of commitment and enthusiasm, so that you will really reach the objectives that you are planning to reach. So this is it from the weaknesses. I don't know if there is any question at this moment. Maybe if so, like, raise your hand and ask directly, because I currently cannot see the chat. But since I cannot hear anything, I hope it's not a technical issue. I will hand back to Adela so that she can tell you how to prepare for the jury interview. So in case you are lucky enough, you are selected for the second stage of the evaluation, you will be asked to prepare a pitch deck and prepare yourselves, your team, for the jury interview. So now the floor is yours for the, let's say, tips and tricks and how to prepare the best you can for this part.
Mm-hmm. Thanks a lot, Michaela. So next slide, please. Yes, so at the beginning, just briefly to remind you of the evaluation process at EIC Transition. So after you apply, we will check the admissibility and eligibility. Then there is the remote evaluation phase. So all proposals are, all admissible and eligible proposals are evaluated by 3 experts. So each proposal is evaluated by 3 experts. It's remote evaluation. So there is no direct contact. Simply the experts get access to your proposals. They read them, and based on the text that you included in your proposal, they evaluate them. Based on this remote evaluation, we create a ranking list, and approximately twice as many proposals as for how many we have budget. So we make an estimate. We invite approximately a double of the proposals that we can finance to the interview. The interview takes place in front of a jury of between 4 and 6 jury members and is moderated by the project advisor. And in the interview, you are expected to present your pitch deck and answer questions. And after the jury interview, we make the final ranking list, and or not ranking list, because there's no ranking, it's go or no go. So we make the final list of those proposals that got a go, and those will be funded. The jury interview normally takes maximum 110 minutes. At the beginning, we do some preliminary checks. We let you enter the meeting and we check your ID, and so that we are sure that we have the right people in the meeting that should be there. Then we invite you to leave the meeting again, and there is a briefing between the jury members. So the jury members are discussing your proposals very briefly before you are let in again. Then you have 10 minutes to submit to present your pitch. And after that, there is a maximum 35 minutes Q&A. Normally, it's organized in a way that we have typically 6 jury members in the meeting. Each of the jury members will have 5 minutes to ask questions. So it's quite dynamic, it's quite fast. And if there is a program manager present as well, he or she will also have 5 minutes to ask questions. So it can be at the end, maximum 35 minutes of Q&A. Then we say goodbye to you, and we continue with a discussion. So there is a deliberation between the jury members, and at the end of the deliberation, the jury members reach the conclusion whether you will get a go or a no-go. Next slide, please. So your pitch deck, you will be invited to submit your pitch deck a few days before the actual interview. The pitch deck, it's recommended that it has about 10 to 12 slides. You have to be mindful of the time. You will have 10 minutes to present. At the end of the 10 minutes, the moderator will stop you, and maybe he will, or he or she will let you finish one sentence, but that's it. You will not be able or allowed to finish your presentation if it goes over 10 minutes. So I would recommend you also to take maybe a clock and have the time in front of you so that you really can keep it to the 10 minutes. The slide or the slide set, the pitch deck should include a cover slide with project name and acronym. It's good to include partners' logos and contact information. At the beginning, it is good to present the problem that you are solving, or the technology that you're developing is solving. What's the need for that, and what's the opportunity, or why is it challenging? So that should be a kind of scene setting to convince the jury that what you are doing is needed and there is a great opportunity. Then you should present your proposed solution to the problem and some traction, maybe, if it's applicable to your proposal. You should definitely present there your market opportunity, or what are the target markets, and your business model. So the target market should be basically quantified. So you should make an estimate of your market size. But as I said already before, be realistic. Don't be too optimistic, because then you will not be credible. So you should be, of course, you should not be negative. You should be self-confident and believe in yourself, but don't be too optimistic, because you will lose credibility with that. You should describe briefly your main competitors, or what is roughly the competitive landscape, to show that you have understanding of that you are not completely, blind to competition, but you have made some, or you have done some research already, and you have some good idea of the competitive landscape. You should describe your commercialization route to market, and some financial roadmap. You should describe finally what would be the project actually about, so which activities you would include in the project, and what would be the main objectives of the transition project if you get the grant awarded. You should touch upon your IP strategy as well. In the jury interviews, actually, it is very common that the jury members are asking about IP, and one of the reasons is that as I told you before, the proposals that go to jury interview are assessed by the patent examiners of the European Patent Office, and we get from them a concise report that is summarizing your IP situation, prospects for patenting, and so on. And they also highlight to us potential issues. So the jury members might be aware of certain IP-related issues in your project, and they might want to ask about that. So IP-related questions are to be expected during the interview. You should also present your team and what expertise you have in your team. And then there should be a kind of conclusions and summary slide. It's not mandatory, but it looks good. Let's say that your presentation is rounded. Next slide. Now, what you should consider for the jury interview, be mindful that the criteria for jury interviews are different from those for remote evaluation. So they are not dramatically different. There's always excellence, impact, and implementation. But the exact wording of the criteria is not exactly the same. So check the criteria that are assessed at the jury phase. For the pitch deck, or for the pitch, or for the presentation, you can have several people intervening, but don't have too many intervening. So keep it somehow limited. What I would say is quite recommendable is that the person, so there should be a kind of leadership. It should be clear who is the leader, or what's the leadership team. It doesn't have to be one person. There can be two people that will be driving the company or the commercialization, but it must be clear who is the leader. And the leader should be the one who is presenting. So, for example, if you have in your proposal a consultant, it's okay to have a consultant in your consortium, but I would recommend you to present the pitch by yourselves if it's you who will be the CEO of the company finally. So do not delegate that. So it should be really clear who is here the mastermind, let's say, and who has the vision and who will bring the technology to the market. What is also quite recommendable is that I would rather recommend you that just one person presents, maximum two. Maybe in the middle you can hand over to someone else, but more people shouldn't be presenting. But when it's about the Q&A, it's good to involve your team. So you can have several people in the meeting, several people that each of them has different competencies, because the questions will come from different kinds of fields. It will be about business, about market, about technology. So you should make sure that you have all people in the meeting who can answer all potential questions. And it looks actually good that you allow your team members to answer, that you give them the word when it's about their specific expertise. So like this, you are showing that you are working as a team, and that actually is something that is quite well assessed or well seen during the interview. For the Q&A, be prepared for approximately 15 to 20 questions. They can be about innovation, your product solution, about IP, about TRL level, about your motivation, about the role of different consortium members, about regulatory or certification aspects. It can be about business model, business plan, competitors, about your potential market, about potential customers, your team, or risks associated with your project. So those are generally the questions, the types of questions that you might expect. What I would recommend you is that you really prepare for the questions. So some of the applicants, I know that they, for example, draw a list of potential questions that they might get, and they prepare the questions, the answers. So you might also think about something like that. Think about where weaknesses in your proposal might be. You might be aware of certain things or certain things that might be seen critically by the jury members. So expect questions about that and prepare your answer. And also a very good recommendation is be agile and be fast in responding. Don't take 2 or 3 minutes to respond a question, because each jury member will have approximately 5 minutes to ask questions. So they will sometimes be also asking the questions very fast. And the faster you are in responding, the more questions you can answer and the more aspects you can clarify. If you are slow, then you might not have the chance to clarify all the questions, and that might impact the outcome of the interview. So try to be dynamic and agile and go to the point. Don't use more words than necessary. That would be my recommendation. Next slide. So finally, do's and don'ts in preparing a transition proposal. So do pay attention to TRL, generally to eligibility conditions, and to clearly linking your proposal to a previous eligible project. Do a preliminary market research and explore potential competitors. Do put milestones and KPIs. Take into account the maturation of the technology and business in the project. So don't forget about the business. Pay a lot of attention to the business aspects. Have a mixed team that is able to advance both technology and business aspects. So make sure that you have all expertise in the project. The main aspects should be covered internally by the project or by the consortium. Certain things can be outsourced, but the main competencies should be in the project. That's also evaluated. Do not apply if you don't comply with the TRL. So that I think is quite clear after today's session. We really have a look at the TRL, and we also compare your statements with the work plan and with the whole proposal. If your statements about the TRL are actually coherent with what you are planning to do. And when we see that you claim that your TRL is 3, but the work plan indicates that you will rather be doing something at a much higher TRL, then you will have a problem in the evaluation. So don't even waste your time applying if you don't comply. If you are higher, go for EIC Accelerator. Don't forget to focus on impact and high commercial potential. Don't forget about IP, about the exploitation partner. Don't forget to justify well any deviations from the budget, from the maximum budget. So if your budget is more than 2.5 million, we will be checking your budget more in detail, and you need to justify what the reason is. Here, I would almost recommend you that if you would go above the 2.5 million budget just by a few thousand euros, I would rather recommend you to stick to the 2.5 million and only present a higher budget and justification if it really is worth the effort, let's say. Otherwise, I would say stick to the 2.5 million. And the same goes for duration. Duration higher than 36 months will be again scrutinized quite strictly, and you will need to justify and explain why you need more than 36 months. And don't forget to talk to your NCP or your EN ambassador, and don't forget to read the work plan well. It's very important. Next slide. Yes, so this would be all from my side today. So thanks a lot for your attention, and yeah, good luck with your proposal. I hope to see more applicants from the Czech Republic in the future in EIC Transition. And if there are any more questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Great, thank you very much. Thank you for the fine details about the jury interview. Again, a very interesting, a very specific, very good hint. Are there any questions, or is everybody still listening, or was it too much information? Okay, I don't see any further questions. So thank you very much for all the information you have provided. I would like to just underline that if you have any questions, any doubts, or if you make it to the interview stage, please contact your NCP or national contact point. Usually, it's the contact point of the coordinator country, who is able to organize some sort of like a mock interview or like a dry run for the interview. So sometimes we also team up from NCPs from the countries that are represented in the consortium. So we can help you either with any questions or with the preparation to the jury interview. I had maybe I had one more question, just or clarification about the length of the pitch deck. Is it correct that there are no there is no predefined number of slides? It's like free. It's
free, yeah. We just, I included the recommendation 10 to 12 so that you can stick to the 10 minutes, but it's free. And there is also no template for it, so you can do it however you like.
Great. Okay, so then thank you very much to Adela, also to Veronika, who's probably no longer here with us anymore. And of course, to all the participants who stayed until the end. Like we said, we will share with you the slides, hopefully also the recording of today's session. And of course, I would like to underline what Adela said. We would like to really gladly see more applicants coming from Czechia and more successful applicants. So we already have success stories that we can follow on. So let's see in September how many there will be. But of course, good luck to everybody, to all of the participants who are interested in EIC Transition. I think we are perfectly on time, so great. So thank you very much, and good luck with your proposals. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.